Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandria Davis, and I am a graduating senior from UCLA and the outgoing chairperson of the African Student Union at UCLA. I am honored to be speaking in front of the graduating class of 2020, and I want to congratulate you on all your amazing accomplishments. I'm happy to see, even though we're all over Zoom, our community come together and celebrate us, especially in a time where celebration may seem impossible because of the tremendous amount of anger, fear, sadness, frustration, and grief that our community has felt. But we must always remember that we too deserve joy, love, peace, and that this joy serves as resistance to everything that seems to be putting us down. It cannot be forgotten the trials, tribulations, and successes that made up each of our experience in getting these degrees. That includes running it up in the financial aid office, struggling with mental health and imposter syndrome, having to deal with problematic professors and peers, showing up in your best fit to an event, or turning up a little bit too hard at a party with your closest friends. These events, whether challenge or triumph, set the scene for how we envision and look back at college, what we had in mind for our victory lap before we cross the stage this upcoming May or June. They must not be forgotten, but I believe 2020 calls for us to have a different vision for ourselves. One that may not be the celebratory ones that we imagine, but one that requires passion and success as much as it requires work, discovery, and uncomfortableness, which are all part of life and part of the new journey we are embarking on as graduates. However, I think it's also important to call attention how the specific social and political moment in our world brings awareness to some necessary re-envisioning that can be led by us as graduates and those within the community around us. The year 2020 has forced me and most of you to work on their vision, and especially during a global pandemic and a revolution for Black lives and police abolition. And yes, I mean abolition. Audre Lorde, a phenomenal Black woman, writer and activist, put it best in saying, without community, there is no liberation, but community must not mean a shedding of our differences, nor the pathetic pretense that these differences do not exist. To me, Lorde is implying that if your vision isn't bound in community, regardless of what aspect of life you're focusing on, then you're only getting further and further from 2020. This is true in the global context of the COVID-19 pandemic, which shines specific light on the complex intersections of race, socioeconomic status, and access to healthcare. It's true of being in quarantine that placed us in situations that forced us to deal with mental health, wellness, and emotional well-being, and even more true as there are raised tensions regarding racism and white supremacy, while simultaneously bringing to the forefront how all these things coexist with homophobia, transphobia, misogynoir, and erasure. Lorde's quote and this current moment we are graduating into should help us all come to the understanding that if your vision does not include women, poor people, queer people, trans people, people with disabilities, then it is not true liberation and is straying further and further from 2020 vision. So please do your part and take action by first informing and equipping yourself, using your platform, checking your family and friends, and never stopping advocating for those who have been lost or silenced. Personally, my vision became a bit obscured in March of 2020 when I lost a person who was formative to me, my grandmother, Annie Akers. My grandmother was the glue that kept our family together, and if I didn't thank her and acknowledge her in this speech, I would be amiss. Always be a lady, she would say to me, which taught me to treat myself and others with respect and also to demand respect. My grandma was always one to cook amazing meals that brought people together and made them feel cared for, because when those around her were cared for, she felt happy. And I try to mirror that image in interacting and engaging with people with care. My grandma would always say that she was only staying alive to see me graduate, and while it is extremely hard to not have her here today, I've realized she's with me and always taught me that my education is important both inside and outside of the classroom. My grandmother's tools and lessons for life inspire me and the vision I have for myself and my community, and it affirms me and my family as we continue to navigate this world, and I hope it can do the same for you graduates. While we are speaking of vision, class of 2020, and we are enjoying this moment together, in closing, I want us to prioritize the collective vision that we have for the future, and more specifically, our individual futures. Because if anything, you deserve and will be the next entrepreneur, educator, filmmaker, artist, lawyer, creative, doctor, physician, scientist, researcher, architect, politician, diplomat, theorist, performer, and so many more. Just as Breonna Taylor, Toyin Salou, Nakia Crawford, Ayanna Jones, Tamir Rice, Robert Fuller, Rayshard Jones, and far too many more deserved as well. I want to personally thank my family for constantly believing in me, supporting me, and loving me, my friends, especially my friend group Liddy, for always being there for the good and the bad, my ASU staff for holding me accountable and for reaching the goals we set to prioritize at UCLA, including demanding and receiving a Black Resource Center on UCLA's campus. And lastly, the Black community, specifically at UCLA, especially all the powerful Black women within it, because I especially appreciate the work you did and allowing for me to serve as the ASU chairperson. Circumstances may seem limited now, but they will not be limited forever and only require a small spark towards change. And it doesn't have to start tomorrow or next week or next year. What makes it true is that your vision is clear. Thank you.